Yeah.
So we're waiting for Eric, but we were just going to kick around some ideas about we wanted to talk about, or at least Alex and I did. We wanted to talk about whether or not like what is it that makes a horror movie? Because today we wanted to talk about Frankenstein. We wanted to talk about weapons. So Eric is here too. So let me just throw this out there. Would you guys be interested in having a conversation about what it is that makes a horror movie a horror movie?
Yeah, because I think it has it's different for everybody.
Shut the
Mhm.
fuck up.
So Eric's afraid of his fire detector, his smoke
What
No,
detector.
I'm just like, is it literally going off? That was the first time it went off.
Uh,
is it going off? Do you need to go?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that was it.
I'm hoping your house isn't
But
on
there's no
fire,
way,
bro.
right?
There's
There's
no
no way that
actual
that's it.
fire.
no, there's no fire. He's just half black. It's fine.
That's
It's
gonna annoy
awesome.
shit. Okay, and I didn't fucking fix my name, of course. How do I do that after the fact?
Right click, rename.
Right click, Kareem. Okay,
There you go.
there we go.
So anyway, let me. I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna start recording right here, and we can talk about it after
No,
you.
no, it's fine. Like you let it roll, and then you like we can cut clips out of the pre-show, right?
Sure, sure,
Okay, I'll be
sure.
back.
I get it, but he's
Yeah.
yeah.
Hope his house
I
isn't
gotta get
burning.
So this is a great place for a short. Eric is gone.
Sure.
So
What a trooper, his
You know
house
what?
is
Hey,
burning. He's still gonna do the podcast.
dude, I
Even
want
that's
to
though the
find.
right.
I want to
burning
find it.
house.
I'm gonna fucking look up a chirp on YouTube and just play it while we're doing this. Just.
That's awesome. Just mess with him.
Hmm.
So, does it sound like an interesting conversation, though, Joe? Does that sound like something you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, I think it's very engaging. And I like that we have our topics for tonight.
Mm,
I like that
I
we
think it
can
fits
discuss
with
that.
these two movies too.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. So we're gonna do that. Right now, we're waiting for Eric to get back and get pranked.
I just need like a fucking well, yeah, that'll work.
He could probably still hear us, so he's not going to be pranked at all. That's the problem. His camera's off, but he can still hear us.
And next week we might want to do like I said on Discord.
You hear that? You hear that? Hold up.
I don't hear anything.
No?
Nope. What did you say on Discord, Alex?
Next week we might want to do because Stranger Things final season coming up with the first
Mm,
half. We might want to do some sort of retrospective about Stranger Things. Like why it's been so popular, what our predictions are, et cetera, et cetera. A very Stranger Things oriented episode.
yeah, I would be down for that. Man, I love
Yeah.
that show.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I really fell off with David Harbour's character waking up in Russia, but I know we watched the season after that, but I just kind of mentally checked out.
That was the
season.
last season.
Yeah. See, well, you're talking about season 4.
Wait, so the end of the last season was when he woke up in Russia.
That was the beginning
Well,
of season
it
4.
didn't show him wake up in Russia, but the last season was him in Russia.
Right.
Right, right,
So
right.
at the end of season 3, he woke up in
Three
Russia.
was when I checked out. Yeah.
Spoilers.
So you didn't watch that season?
Stealth
I
spoilers.
fucking forgot all about it.
Season
Okay.
4 was great, man. It was the
Yeah.
one with
Was that
Vecna.
the mall one?
No, that
No,
was
that
the
was season
third.
3.
Yeah. Nope. Checked out season 4.
Mm,
I know I watched it. I was just like, I'm not invested. I don't care anymore.
really? Oh
Really?
man.
So I
Season
thought
4
season
was
4 was like a big step up after season 2 and 3.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Season 2 was fucking garbage. Season 3 was good until the
Why
end.
was season 2 garbage? I thought season 2 was
Fucking emo Millie Bobby Brown.
Oh, that was just one episode
That was,
though.
that,
That
that was
was
literally one episode. Yeah,
so fucking dumb, dude.
it was the worst episode of the entire series.
So
So
fucking
Yeah.
dumb.
I don't know what they were trying to do a spin-off. They were trying to make another IP. I can't blame them. I mean, when you have a super successful show, don't you want to try to like,
but
hey, what
yeah,
if we do
but
this other
yeah,
thing?
there was one episode out of 9.
Right.
I don't care. It like it unsubbed me from it. Unsub. Gone.
Okay. Eric is back. Let me do the official intro. Welcome to Cult Fiction. We're talking about a couple of horror movies today that kind of transcend actually the horror genre in a lot of ways. And so we're going to have a deeper conversation about horror movies after we talk about these two movies. The two movies are Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which is now available on Netflix, and Weapons, which was a surprise, like a breakout hit that a lot of people thought was really, really cool. Let's go around on Weapons first. I feel like
So we're doing the movie thing, right?
just real quick, we're going to go through Weapons, we're going to go through Frankenstein, and then we're going to talk about
No, but he's talking about the trivia.
Oh, trivia. Yeah, that's right. Oh, who's trivia maven today? Is it
It's me, and I had
Yes.
I had a bitch about a movie, but we can save that for another time.
What do you mean you had a bitch? You were like
I
a
just I
complaint?
watched one of my favorite movies this week, and I'm like mad about it, but we have a
Oh.
lot to go over.
Yeah,
So
that always makes me mad when I watch one of my favorite movies.
I'm still mad at myself for Alex's trivia like 2 weeks ago. It was so good, and I totally should have known it. I still am kicking myself. All right. What do
well,
you got? What's clue number one there, Joe?
dude, let me see if I can stump you guys.
All right.
I don't think I can, but I have a bonus clue just in case. All right.
Okay. All right.
First clue is boxing.
Boxing.
Set the timer right now.
Where do we send the messaging?
Do text.
Texts. All right. We have to get another device now so that we
Sorry.
can send a message to Joe to give him our wrong answer.
Yep. All right. So I'm starting the timer at 5 minutes.
Raging Bull.
Yeah, there's 100 different movies with that name.
Damn it!
All right.
We're done. Game over.
Did somebody get it?
No.
Oh, okay. I was hoping I didn't get it. So let's talk about Weapons real quick. I want to.
I want to go first.
Okay, I want Eric to go first. Go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you want to go first, Jubal?
No,
Okay.
go. I want to go
So-
last.
Okay, so I liked it. Overall, I liked it. What I thought was interesting about it was that, like hearing the outside world talk about it, they're like, "Oh, this is the best movie of the year," and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And I just did not see that like at all. And even though it was good, I enjoyed it. But and of course, spoilers ahead. We're gonna spoil the shit
Yeah.
out of stuff, right? Is about 60% of the way through the movie, you realize that this is just an old witch tale,
Right.
where she's trying to stay what's it called young.
Alive.
And
Young.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is a 300-year-old story, which is fine. They did it in a cool way and it was very fun. But like the way people out in the public were talking about it, I thought this was going to be like Scream or Saw, where it's going to have
Right.
some kind of, signs, not signs, but Sixth Sense,
Sixth Sense.
where,
Right.
where it has some kind of like crazy ending or some kind of twist. And I'm like, this is a retelling of a 300-year-old story about how witches want to suck the energy out of people so that they can live forever and stuff. And I'm like, and that's
Sure.
fine. And so what I was telling Jubal was I feel like it's kind of what I talked about before, where like of the viewing audience of movies, like 20% love horror movies. And this is why you don't see horror movies making 300 million domestic normally, right?
Right.
Another 20% are like cool with them, they'll tolerate them. The other 60% don't like horror movies as a rule. But what happens is when a movie like Weapons comes along, that 60% can like get through it. And so
Right.
they're like, "Oh, that movie was great." And it's like, it was good. But I think that you're just really excited that you made it through a horror movie.
Right. Right.
And you were actually like, you got through it and you were like, yeah, I could do horror movies. And it's like, because I mean, I'm listening to sports radio. I'm taking my kids to school. I'm listening to sports radio in the morning, and they're like, "You got to watch this Weapons. It's out of control." I'm like, Jesus, this movie must be amazing. And I watched it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a horror movie that non-horror movie people can watch.
Right. It has
and
a bunch
feel
of
like they
extra
conquered the earth.
elements to it. Right. It's
Yeah,
not just scary stuff front to back. There's other stuff
right.
going on.
So I think that that's where some of its overblownness, if that's a word, comes from. Is just people are like, oh, I normally hate horror movies, but I watch the shit out of this, and it's like, okay,
Right.
doesn't make it a great movie though. It's kind of like when I was talking about like I can watch shit with my kids and it automatically gets like 10 cool
Mhm.
points.
Right.
That movie's not good, but the fact that I can watch it with them makes it good for me.
For you. For
For
you.
me,
Yeah. For
you know.
you. That makes sense. But overall, you liked it. You thought Weapons
Yeah,
was good.
overall, I still liked it. I just didn't like. It's not a movie that we're gonna talk about in 15 years,
Right.
25 years, like we did with Scream or Saw or whatever.
The Exorcist. Right.
The
Right.
That's a really
Exorcist,
high
obviously.
bar, though. I mean, like,
Right.
what?
But that's how they were. That's how I felt like it was being talked about. Like it was like the Sixth Sense. Like, oh,
Sure.
it's so. And then they do.
I
Like
get that
there
because there
was
was
no.
there was
Then
a
they do.
lot of
You
like
know.
there was a lot of talk, there was a lot of chatter about it basically, and everybody was talking about how great it was. So Alex is our resident horror movie expert. What was your take, sir, on Weapons? What did you think?
Well, I kind of deliberately kept it out of range, like all the hype and hubbub and everything about it, you know. I had seen
Smart.
Barbarian, the first movie by Zach Creggor, and yeah, I had mixed feelings on that one because it has like a great setup and a great first half, and then the second half goes really, really wild. And it's like I'm not even saying it's bad, but man, it's really hard to get a foothold after that. It's just like you're
Right.
like I don't even know what the hell's going on. This one, yeah, obviously it's a lot more grounded, and so I knew going into it that there was some hype around it, but I kind of went in with not necessarily high expectation. I was just like, okay, I think it's first movie, let's see what happens, and I ended up like really, really enjoying it because I do think it probably is one of the better movies of this year, but it's like I was telling, I think with Jubal earlier another time, it's like it's a horror movie. But I think one
Mhm.
of the reasons, me personally, why I think so highly of it is for the non-horror elements as well as the horror element, because it
Mhm.
works as a mystery. It works as a kind of even slow burn suspense, right?
Mhm.
And there's all these elements coming together, and I think it makes kind of a unique viewing experience. And I think that may be one of the reasons why it got so hyped up was
Mhm.
because it's like, hey, it's a horror movie, and you go in expecting a horror, and you're like, wait, there's a lot of other stuff here too that's actually
Right.
pretty cool.
Right.
Because I've talked to a couple of people that are really, really big horror fans, and it seems like the big horror fans that I've talked to are the ones most disappointed with it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, because I think, like they say, hey, this is the best movie of the year, the best horror movie of the year, and they sit down, and it's kind of like, there's a lot of non-horror stuff going on, and
Right.
it's like you sit down and you're expecting like a big horror fest, and that's not really what it is. And
Right.
so, but yeah, overall, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was just sort of like for Zach Creggor, it's like it's going to be a big, big thing to try to top because he came out and it's
Yeah.
like he broke a sophomore slump, and he just kind of like, and it's I was thinking of Quentin Tarantino and Pulp Fiction, and it's kind of like
Mhm.
the structure of this is kind of similar. It has that non-linear storytelling structure and everything. It just like kind of
Mhm.
reminded me of Magnolia too,
Right.
where it's just
Right.
like it tells you like one character, and it's all kind of out of order, but once it layers up and it all comes together, and it's like, oh, great, yeah. And so overall, I thought it was great, and it's just sort of like, is it going to be a movie I watch, talk about 15 years from now? I don't know, but certainly for this year, it's going to be a movie that I'm talking about.
So I think you and Eric are both basically saying the reason that um, your real horror aficionados don't like it is the same reason that people who generally don't like horror did like it, right? Because it has these elements in it that kind of go beyond horror. Um, so
Maybe.
that's
I haven't
okay,
talked to a whole lot of people, but yeah, I can see
Well,
that.
one of the things that kind of I was telling Jubal threw me off was when you see the witch for the first time.
right?
Yeah.
Um, it is hard for someone of my age to not like for at least this is how I felt. Like I started to smile when I saw her because intrinsically what I see is Uncle Buck's girlfriend.
Totally.
That's all I see. That's all I
Totally.
see.
I
And
can
so
see
when
it.
I see her, I have this like warm feeling in my heart, and I feel like I'm gonna laugh a bit, and you know,
Right.
and like,
What do you mean, like
oh,
when you
Learn
first saw it? You mean
learn a
like the
life
flashes,
lesson.
or do you mean when she actually came
when
into the
she came
scene?
into the principal's office,
Okay.
Right.
Huh?
With her wig
and I
on
was
and
just like,
everything.
oh, nice, you
I
know.
love her.
And it's not what I'm supposed to think, you know. I was like, oh, it's creepy. Oh, look at this creepy bitch.
That's funny.
But like because of my age, and I've seen Uncle Buck like 90 times,
Right,
and it's
right.
like one of my favorite movies. It was just like, oh, and it just
Yeah.
took me out
Because
of it a little bit.
I was genuinely surprised how really laugh out loud funny it was at times. You
At
know,
times, yeah.
there were a couple of
Yeah,
times where it
they
just
had
like,
the whole
fuck, what?
like the Ferris Bueller chase at the end of the movie was
Dude, I loved that.
it
I
was
love
so
that.
it was so
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so
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 I don't mean
go
let's
ahead,
do
go ahead.
another clue, but I wanted to
Yeah,
say something about that too.
let's get a clue out, Joe. What do you got? So first clue was boxing. Second clue,
let's go with
clue number 2,
diner.
diner.
Boxing
Wait,
in a
what did
diner.
you send me? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Boxing diner.
So what I was gonna say was that this is also something I brought up in another movie
No,
or another podcast about
I'm
movies.
so I'm not getting my notifications, so like this is fucking me up here.
You're not getting your text messages?
No, I got them. You're both
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
so
Bastard.
one of the things is I said was sometimes a bad guy
What the
does some shit that's so bad.
hold on. How the fuck do you get Gladiator out of diner?
I don't know.
How
No,
you said
Gladiator,
you guessed
the boxing
Gladiator?
movie,
How do you get gladiator out of boxing?
the boxing movie with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh,
Oh
Oh,
shit! I'm
okay.
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh,
Right.
oh! I was thinking different
Uh,
Gladiator.
I'm
uh,
sorry.
All right.
so
I'm sorry.
um, what I was saying was there's bad guys who do shit that's so awful that even when you kill them, it's not enough. And where I was talking about the Patriot and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
I felt she died an appropriate like amount.
There was an appropriate amount of death for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that whole Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like run through like 4 houses and stuff, and then to be like pulled apart by the kids. I was
Yeah.
like, because at first I was like, oh, this is not whatever they do to her is not going to be enough. They're going to shoot her in the head or
Right,
blah blah
right,
blah.
right.
But then they did that, and I was like, okay,
Okay. Okay.
that was appropriate because she felt the vast majority of that.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so let's get Bueller in. We still got a bunch to talk about. Let's get your take on weapons, sir.
I mean, short version is there was a lot of things I liked, and there was like one thing I hated.
Hmm.
The one thing I hated was the AK-47 or AR-15.
Yeah, what was that? I didn't even
No
get
idea.
that.
It
No
was
clue.
it was fucking dumb.
Yeah.
No clue.
I don't know if we're going to talk about this movie for ages. There's not going to be a sequel. I did love how the director decided like we're not going to show the two like biggest actors in this movie for scenes after they show up. It's the back of their heads. Josh Brolin and the woman from Ozark.
Hmm.
We're not showing their faces, and they did. I thought it was really cool. Um, the 217 thing like was I didn't realize that until way late in the movie. Um, you had 18 kids in the classroom. You had one survivor and one teacher. So 19 people, 217. Uh, for those watching, I don't know if you picked that up. I thought that was really cool, and it took me way too long to figure out.
Hmm.
Um, this movie, like, it hit me on a lot of different levels. I loved it, man. This is my favorite movie of the year. I'll
Wow.
say that
Okay.
without question.
Wow.
I could spend an hour on this movie, and the allegory, the metaphors, and everything else that it hit. Uh, I thought it was phenomenal. All jokes aside, all things that happened in the movie aside, man, it just rang all the bells.
Hmm.
Mm.
and I don't want to spend too long on it because we're limited on time, but it got me, dude. It really, really punched me in the soul. And like, I didn't know how I would talk about it. I apologize. That's how much it hit me. So I'm holding it back, but I love this movie.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Props, dude. Well, that's cool. So, real quick, I'll just give my take on it. The anybody who watches knows that I'm not a big horror movie fan. Alex and Joe both are the horror movie guys. Um, I also, what you may not know is that I'm really against, or I have problems with any plots that include mind control, right? Controlling people's minds to me is just like kind of a lazy trope. Um, but this movie was both of those things, and it surprised me. It surprised me that I liked it. It surprised me
Mhm.
that I actually did enjoy it.
So just
Uh,
so you know, I feel the same way about time travel that you do feel
right,
about mind control.
Mm.
right.
I'm
Similar
kind of
kind
that
of
Everybody's
way
thing.
got their
too.
thing. Yeah.
Where it's like it's just like it's kind of a tired trope. It's like, oh, I'm controlling your mind. You can't. Okay, well, if then whatever. Then it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't. None of this matters. But it still I thought was very well done. Like Alex said, the way that the story was told was very Quentin Tarantino esque. The performances all around were great, and it was scary without being like over the top, gory, bloody, nasty. Except for the very end, I guess. But yeah, it was an interesting story, well told. I think maybe my favorite part was the how there were the red herrings in the beginning about parasites to throw
Right.
you off. You remember that where it's like they're talking about the mushroom that controls ants, and they're talking about there's
They
learning parasites in the classroom. So you're thinking it's like, is that what's going on? Like they've all been infected by a parasite? It's a weird thing. Totally. But then they put witch on the side of her car, which was absolutely foreshadowing. So it was well done. It was a well crafted flick. So let's move on to Frankenstein, and I'll open it up because I just want to say how much I really liked this movie a lot, a lot, a lot. Guillermo del Toro, I think, is probably maybe top five directors working today. He's done some amazing
yeah.
stuff. And I think that this movie is going to be a shoe-in for costumes and sets. And Eric and I think we were talking, Oscar stuff a little bit earlier. And the guy who plays Frankenstein's monster, I think, has a real shot at getting supporting actor. Oscar Isaacs does a great job. All the acting talent is top tier. The sets,
Uh,
again, beautiful.
Eric got it, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, do you want to? Should we do a third clue real quick before
Well,
I
I
continue?
forgot to start the timer. We got 2.5 minutes, so up to you.
Okay. Well, let me finish mine and then we'll do it.
Okay.
So, really enjoyed this movie. What's really interesting about the whole Frankenstein story, and most people probably don't realize this. The original story was written by Mary Shelley
Yeah.
in I want to say 1817. Is that right?
Sounds right.
1817, and she was 19 years old, and she wrote this story that
Which
has
is middle
now
aged.
in 1817, right? She wrote this, but she wrote at 19 years old in 1817. She wrote a story that has been around now for 200 years and is one of
Yeah.
the most told stories around. That to me is just an astounding achievement. And I think in a lot of ways that Del Toro, what he did with this movie is he got out of her way and he told her story. Because this story has been told 1,000 different ways. And it seems like every time it's told, the director or the storyteller changes it to suit whatever it is that they want. Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein movie, black and white, when he had like bolts in his neck,
Yeah.
there was like a Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein movie. There was, young Frankenstein.
Well, there was
All
the
these,
Mary Shelley version too.
yeah, there was that was Kenneth Branagh's Mary
Oh,
Shelley's
okay. All right.
Frankenstein, but it was not. It was not out. It was not the book. And then even like in other shows like Penny Dreadful, you encounter Frankenstein, and they take liberties with
Young
things about
Frankenstein.
yeah. So this was about as close as you can get to a very faithful telling of Mary Shelley's book, and
Mhm.
I appreciate there
Monster
was some
Squad.
there was there was some differences, but it's just so well told and so well performed, and the cinematography is amazing. There are some gore elements to it because you're dealing with corpses and stuff like that. But if you just want to see a really well put together movie and a good story that's faithful to the source material, I can't recommend this movie enough. Let's go then in reverse order after Bueller gives his next clue.
Okay, so I
We
said
got boxing and
boxing,
diner.
diner, right? I'm gonna go with motorcycle.
Hmm.
It's kind of rough.
I don't think that's rough. I think you're crazy.
Boxing diner
Somebody
motorcycle.
rides his motorcycle
Like, if you got it
to
after two,
box.
Eric, that's not a rough clue.
The second one really did it for me.
Okay. All right. My
Diner.
guess is in.
After like 8 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, no. Dude, I was like sitting here, like going,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
It's rough. Okay. Bueller, what's your take on Frankenstein?
So I started watching it at work on my lunch hour. I got about 15 minutes into it, and I was like, all right, dope. I like this. I like Guillermo del Toro. I like what he does. Um, my wife doesn't like horror movies, and I'm like, I don't feel like this is a horror movie, which we can get
Hmm.
into later. Um, I feel like this is very story driven, and it's also a period piece, which she likes. So I
Right.
sold her on it, came home, we restarted it, watched it again. We got through the first act of the movie. This is a long fucking movie. If you're not ready to watch a 2.5 hour movie, then don't start it
Right.
because that's how long it is. Uh, but that being said, it's not scary, so to speak, like, oh my God, you're gonna jump out of the your sheets or whatever. But it's got elements of horror and things like that. Like, dude, when Frankenstein folded that guy in half in the opening scene with
Yeah.
clothesline, fuck, man, that was amazing. I was like, that's super cool. The special effects in this movie are pretty cool. Oscar Isaac does a great job.
Mhm.
Mia Goth, this is the best I've seen her, I think. I loved her in the X trilogy, but I think she's better in this, to be
I feel
honest.
like she's turning into like this generation's like scream queen.
Hmm.
I agree. I agree with that completely. But I also feel like this movie kind of showed her chops a little bit. But yeah, her being a scream queen, cool with that. Um,
And she's married to the guy, I think, that did the X trilogy. I forget his name.
No, she's
Um,
married to Shia LaBeouf.
oh, she's married to Shia LaBeouf.
Hmm.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
got it wrong.
Well, good for Shia. High five, man.
yeah.
Because she's awesome, dude. I really
Hmm.
like her a lot. Everything I've seen her in, I really enjoy. Um, between those two, and you also had Christoph Waltz did a great job.
Right.
You didn't have a lot of the characters that you get from your typical Frankenstein movies, like Igor. I feel like we saw Igor at one time at the Hangman's Galley. I feel like that guy was supposed to be Igor.
Right.
That was my take. Uh, but damn, man, the special effects were really cool, despite lacking like a lot of detail or whatever. It was very visual. It wasn't like this has to be scientifically accurate or medically accurate. Visually watching it was like they just shoved an eyeball in there.
Right.
They shoved the knee joint into the elbow joint
Yeah.
and it worked. Like fucking cool, great. Uh,
Yeah.
I thought it was great, man. The only thing I didn't like was I felt like it was a little disjointed between uh the Frankenstein story and the creator story. There could have been a better bridge.
Hmm.
And that's the only thing I thought was missing. But damn, great movie, great job for Del Toro and Del Tormo and everything else. Like it was a fun watch. I had to break it apart in 2 days, but I was enthralled the whole time.
Cool. 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 Alex, what is your view here on the Frankenstein?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is you can't say anything about Del Toro. You can say his art direction is just absolutely
Yeah.
masterclass. I mean,
Top tier.
there's barely a frame in this movie that you couldn't put like as a photograph on a wall, you
Right.
know? And so the only problem is this is to me, I think, the definitive version of Frankenstein as far as cinematic adaptation. The only problem, of course, is it's not really going to surprise anybody at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
nobody's going to watch it and like not really know where the story's going or what's going to happen.
Well, I will say there's
New
there's a lot of people who don't understand that Frankenstein in the book was articulate
Right.
because they're
Right.
so used to the bolt in the neck,
The zombie
the
Frankenstein.
zombie
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So
what
So
I
that
happened
could
thought-
be surprising.
Yeah, like Kenneth
I'm
Branagh,
sorry to
for
interrupt,
example,
Alex,
like
but
that.
what I thought was a really good take on this was like Frankenstein's not the monster. Frankenstein's not the monster. And this movie was like, yes, Frankenstein is the monster because Frankenstein made the creature
Right.
because no normal person would do that. So Frankenstein actually is the monster that made the creature. So who is the monster here?
Right.
And I
Yeah,
like
that's
the way
right.
the movie
And that's
reiterates
the
that.
theme of the story.
That's one of the big philosophical kind of questions about it. That and what makes a person, what makes a man a man, and blah blah blah. There's all sorts
Right.
of like philosophical underpinnings throughout all the themes of the movie, and this movie does, I think, a better job than most others I can recall of just like layering all those themes together. You know, the only one I can recall, that like tried to do an adaptation of Mary Shelley's actual book was the Kenneth Branagh version. And
Right.
it's been so long since I've seen it. It's been a long time since I read the book too.
Right.
Who played the monster in that one?
I don't even remember.
Robert De Niro.
Okay,
oh
so
yeah,
that's the
that's
De Niro
right.
one.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, as far as this one goes, yeah, like I said, it's not going to be a surprise, I think, to most people. But it is the absolute, to me, best version of Frankenstein that I've seen in a movie. I mean, it's just like it's just one of those things where everything is just done right. Yeah.
Right.
Like there were a couple of things I thought the CGI was a little spotty in places, like with the wolves, for instance. It was kind of like,
Dude,
Yeah.
he scalped that wolf, basically.
yeah. But I mean the art direction and the direction of the whole Oscar Isaac is just absolutely killing it in everything that I'm seeing. I mean, that guy. I don't follow the Academy Awards anymore. I don't know if he's ever been nominated or won
Man.
anything, but I mean, he's going to within probably the next 5 years, have one
Yeah.
of those on his mantle at home. And
He
was
should.
dead on it.
He's great.
So, and he played Victor Frankenstein perfectly. The actor, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jacob Elordi. I honestly don't even know who that is.
He's in that show Euphoria on
Right.
I've never seen
HBO.
And I hate to be a dick here, but he kind of looks like Frankenstein. Like Frankenstein's monster.
He's big.
So he was a good cast, man.
He's a big
He was
dude.
good cast.
Dude, I'm telling you, the scene, and I told this to Jewel, the scene where he first shows up at the bedside of Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, and he's standing there, and obviously they're doing like prosthetics, it's makeup and everything. It's not CGI. I kept nudging my son. I was like, dude, this guy, all I could see was Silver Surfer. Because he had the bald head and he had
Right.
that thin frame and he was tall and everything. And I said, I'm now going to be disappointed with whoever they get to play the live action Norrin Rad Silver Surfer if it's not this guy, because he looked like he was perfect for it.
Character of the movie is constantly remind Eric of other characters that have nothing
Dude. Well, I'm
Frankenstein?
Sure I'm not alone.
No.
I'm sure
Silver
Hannibal
Surfer.
Lecter reminds me of Wilfred Brimley.
I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure I'm not alone. Like when I watch procedurals on television, and it's like a whodunit procedural, and you're like, "That's the guy. He's too famous to be. He's too famous to be in this episode,
Right.
and not be the guy who did it. Like
Right.
Ruined." So, it happens.
So Eric, you were saying
Wait, hold on. I have to
Oh,
give
go
you a
ahead.
clue.
Go ahead.
Finish.
Clue.
Sorry.
Clue.
As good as Oscar Isaac's performance
Wait,
was.
Alex, hold on.
another clue.
Clue.
We got
Next
another
clue.
clue. All right.
Burger.
Burger.
Burger Diner Boxing Motorcycle. Burger Dining Boxing Motorcycle. Burger Dining Boxing.
This is a movie, right? This isn't Happy Days.
No.
Oh,
No.
no,
Okay.
it might be Happy Days. I don't know.
Burger time, Dr. Motorcycle. Okay.
All right.
You were
Whatever,
saying
I
about
forgot.
Oscar
Next.
Isaacs. You were talking about Oscar Isaacs.
So Oscar Isaacs, Alex, continue your thought.
I don't remember. So go ahead.
No, you were saying as good as Oscar Isaacs was, and then you were talking about the kid because you didn't know who he was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just thought, yeah, his performance was incredible. Just how the way he switched between, like almost childlike to actually vengeful and scary.
Right.
Like in single scene, he'd be like, something that went from, innocent and to just completely dangerous in a heartbeat, and it was just sort of like the way he played all of those aspects of like the creation and the monster, the human, it's all these things that are bad, it's all these things that are good, and he just like layered it on and just it was a perfect performance, I thought. And like Eric said, there's not a lot of prosthetics and everything. It was kind of like a real stripped down, layered version of the monster. So it's like his performance came through. It's not like trying to convey to you that he's a monster with like all the.
He wasn't hiding behind a mask.
Right. It's still like there's a human being there, and that really helped the performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was dynamite. Eric, you were saying that he was actually originally going to be cast. Somebody else was going to be cast in that role.
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm just gonna double check. Let's see. Yeah, so initially, the creature was going to be played by Andrew Garfield.
That would have been no.
I guess that he's tall and lanky.
Yeah, but even Andrew, I think, is only like 6'1". So I think
this guy's 6'5".
Yeah,
and we saw some very obvious scenes from what I thought they were shots from like Lord of the Rings where they were doing size comparison.
Oh yeah, like when he walks out of the captain's room, or and he's looking at all the men. They certainly propped him. They shot it so that he'd be maybe even a foot taller. Because my son literally just finished the book like a week ago, and he says Frankenstein's monster is supposed to be 8 feet tall.
Right.
So and I think they actually, knowing that, they did a pretty good job in how they were putting them together, because he was taking big parts from different people. He was like, here's a knee from a different person and a femur and from a different person. And, because there really aren't any 8 feet tall people, right? But you could have people who are like really long legged, and then some people who are long torsoed and stuff like that. And it looks like, and the way, it wasn't like he just grabbed a leg. He grabbed 7 components of a leg to make the leg, you know what I mean? And so you could see how now he could get to 8 feet tall or whatever,
Right.
Yeah, that's why I liked how much detail they put into like piecing the body together.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Like, despite the idea, like your wife's a doctor, putting together all the nerves and all the
Right.
Like
right.
sliding this into that and stuff like that. Like that was wow. That was really cool and gross.
Yeah, no, it was.
It's like,
it was probably the grossest part of that little 2-minute montage. Is probably the only part where somebody might have to like look away for a second.
Right.
Because like when he was sawing that foot off or whatever it was like, oh, that legitimately looks like he's sawing into a human body right there. So,
I think the one that got me the most of that whole montage was when he slid the femur back up into the leg. I was like, all right,
that's pretty.
Pretty gnarly.
rough.
Yeah, Del Toro needs to do something steampunk, because like his aesthetic vibe is just absolutely.
I would be down for that.
That would be very interesting.
All right, Alex, what clues do you have, Alex? Because you're the last one standing.
Oh, Jubal got it. Good. Okay.
Boxing, diner, motorcycle. What's the last one? Boxing, diner.
Burger.
Boxing, diner.
If you don't get this one, the last clue is for Eric anyway, but he already got it. This one's to cinch it. The wolf.
The wolf.
Oh, okay. CultFiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so we all
Hey.
got it. All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right,
The last
Fiction.
clue, by the way, is BAMF. BAMF.
Diner.
The one that says bad motherfucker.
The
Oh,
diner where,
diner.
yeah,
It's just
that's
BMF, I think, is what it would be.
yeah.
BMF.
I started rolling through my head all the movies that like had diners in them, and I
Right.
was like, oh, a surprising amount of Quentin Tarantino movies, by the way.
I was gonna
Uh,
I was gonna guess the movie Diner, but that probably wouldn't have
Yeah.
been
I
right.
almost did Reservoir Dogs, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna. Well, they both have diners. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
Um, Jubal and I were talking about the Oscars, and one of the things that was interesting, or that I was thinking about was, I feel like the Emmys have basically said, okay, we get it. Streaming is taking over television. We
Right.
got it. They have the Ozarks and they have Ted
Game of
Lasso
Thrones.
and they
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, whatever. Um, but I don't feel like the Oscars has fully done that yet. I
They
think
haven't capitulated to the
they
streaming
haven't
services.
capitulated. So Frankenstein went into the theaters just enough to qualify for the Oscars, basically. And that's really the only reason it was in the theaters. And I think that the Oscars want to keep cinema and film and theaters alive. And so, you know,
I'm
could
not
this
opposed to
movie
that. I'm not opposed to that.
yeah, could this movie get, 4 or 5 nominations, mainly for, set design and stuff like that? Yeah, and could the guy who did Frankenstein's monster get a supporting actor nomination? Yeah. But what I would say is if this movie went into the theaters, it would be guaranteed to get 6, 7 Oscar nominations.
Right.
Now I think they might
Look at 3 or 4.
pull off like 3 or 4,
No.
and
Costumes, set design.
something along those lines, right?
Right.
The other thing we were saying, because I told you, I said I really like the cinematography, kind of like Alex was saying, that scene where his mother's like going up the staircase and she's in her red dress
The
and
red
stuff.
dress, yeah.
I asked Jubal. There's another movie that did that very strikingly, with like red against a kind of more white backdrop. Do you know which movie I'm talking about, Alex? That it was
Bram
just like
Stoker's Dracula?
The others.
that's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
close. I was thinking Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, when the girl's
Remember
out like
that?
skating on the ice and everything's
Yeah,
white and she's
there
wearing
was
red.
several scenes in Brotherhood of the Wolf where it was like you could just take a picture of that and you could hang it on your wall.
Right.
And that's kind of how, one of you I think described this movie that way, and I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Did the wolf in that movie remind you of Snoopy?
Nice. So here's a question that I want to throw out. I want to throw out to the crew, and this is something that Alex and I talked about a little bit, and we can just kind of just kick in whatever you've got to say. Alex and I have very different opinions on horror movies. I don't like horror movies. He does like horror movies. We were talking
I
about
like
it.
good horror movies.
He likes good
Like,
horror movies.
Most horror movies are garbage.
That's true. We were trying to figure out what is it that makes a horror movie instead of like a suspense movie or a mystery or even like an action
Because
movie.
the example I used was the original Halloween, John
Right.
Carpenter's Halloween. Is that a horror movie or is that like a suspense movie?
Is that a thriller?
A suspense that.
And what is it that makes it one or the other?
Because I would argue that it's not really a horror movie.
The big problem with that comes from the separation of genres. Like we had horror movies 60 years ago, right?
Mm.
Now we have psychological thrillers. We have thrillers that are not psychological thrillers. We have suspense. We have horror. We have gore movies. We have all
Slasher. You could
slashers.
say slasher movies are like a subgenre of horror, you could say.
And I don't even know if slashers and gore are the same thing, to be honest with you. So what makes a horror movie is really, really complicated to dissect. If it makes you worried when you go to sleep at night, that's a horror movie.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Eric?
I tend to agree with Bueller. I think that there is a certain amount of creepiness to a horror movie that is not in a suspense. They can both have jump scares.
Sure.
There can be times where you can go, ooh, that's gross,
Hmm.
you know. But I think there is a certain level of creepiness in a horror movie. You know, it's almost like that saying that with porn, you know it when you see it,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
when I talked about Welcome to Derry, it's that scene with the mother. To me, that was horror. When she was like, being creepy,
Hmm.
essentially.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you take a movie like Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs to me is not a horror movie.
Right.
It
Yeah.
it it, it probably has a jump scare or two in there, when he turns around and like Hannibal's there, or she turns around and Buffalo Bill's there or whatever. It's certainly gross in some spots when you find a head in a
Hmm.
car or something. Um, but it's not creepy per se. And I don't know how to really define that, which is I think
Mhm.
one of the reasons why we're having this conversation,
So
because we don't really know.
let me try. Let me see what I can do. I think that, and this is my opinion, and you guys can kick it around, and we still need to hear from Alex too. Um, for my part, I think what makes a horror movie is that it invokes actual fear. It's trying to scare the person watching. Being startled, feeling like tension or suspense, those are different than actual fear. Like it's trying to scare you with something. And that's why I think a lot of horror movies get into supernatural elements, because it's a lot easier to scare people with things that are just outside the realm of reality. Um, and so you don't necessarily need blood. Like a lot of people would say Jaws is a horror movie, or the original Alien is a horror
Mhm.
movie. Even Psycho, the original Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, a lot of people would call that a horror movie, even though there's no blood in it at all, right?
Right. But
So
there's creepiness to it.
Mhm.
and by creepiness, that is fear. It is invoking in you the feeling of fear.
Which is so individualistic.
And that's why I
True.
think a lot of
True.
horror movies have to invoke fear. They have to use terrifying imagery, right? Images on the screen that invoke fear. Think about The Exorcist, right? With the spider crawl.
Yeah, The
What
Ring, for
or The
example,
Ring, yeah, when with like, the people flipping out.
or she's
So
coming out of the television as well.
right. So it a horror movie will show you horrific images that are designed to invoke fear. What do you think, Alex? Am I off base? Am I missing something?
I mean, it's hard, like, it's very difficult to quantify, It's like, 'cause I think everybody would agree that a weapon is a horror movie, right?
Right, right.
I don't think it really is supposed to make you like feel fear in the way that you're talking about exactly. It's like
See,
it
I
does,
Scariest part of
it
Weapons for
does.
me
It's
was
like, but
when the woman came out and cut the other woman's hair. Like that was like when she came out of
yeah,
That
the
was
house, it
what
was
was the
like,
word
oh
you
yeah,
were
my
like
about to
when
use?
she comes into the car and you just hear the
What was
car
the word you were
door.
about to use? It's
It's
creepy.
got
When
creepy.
she comes out and she's
yeah,
like this, and
right,
yeah,
she's
and it's
you know,
yeah.
it's
But what about the? Go ahead. Sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
so it's like, because we were talking when I was talking about this with Jubal, suspense is like thriller kind of does the same thing. You want to build tension and even fear. What are you afraid of? In a movie like
Right.
it's a really really good suspense movie, you're really dreading the next scene, and you're like you tense up, and it's like what's going to happen. You're afraid of something happening, or you're too stressed that something might happen. And so with horror, I think it's the same thing. You're stressed that something might happen, but I was kind of we were kind of talking about it, and maybe it's sort of like in a horror, you're afraid of death or something terrible happening. When in suspense, you're afraid of an event happening, like a bomb is going to go off, the car is going to crash, or something like that.
Right.
So
It's
I
not.
don't know, but I'm throwing it out there.
It's not just. It's not just death or like harm that invokes fear. Because like 2012, right, with John Cusack, there's a hell of dead people in that movie and like all
Uh,
kinds of danger. But at no point are you afraid. But in
Well, it's
Weapons, there was a
tension,
couple.
anxiety. It's so many
Right.
different.
But
uh,
in Weapons, there was a couple of places where there was horrific imagery. It was the when the principal came chasing after her at the gas station,
Mm.
Mhm.
right? And
yeah,
just his eyes and his face were just all wrong, right? like his eyes were bugging out and weird and didn't look right, that makes you freak out a little bit, right? And then also when the kid is in the bathroom and his mom is like breaking through the door and screaming down at him, the look on her face is not the look on a face that a mother would have for her kid, right? It's like this awful primal thing. That's the kind of horrific imagery that was in that movie. Same as in The Exorcist, right? The spider crawler, even in the original, just like her whole possessed face, like there's always going to be disturbing, frightful imagery in a horror movie. Because that is what scares people. I can't think of a horror movie that doesn't have horrific imagery in it that I've ever seen. Can you think of one?
Well, so the thing is, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts, is you tune out when it gets gross. So what's gross to you is hoary or
Horror.
horrific, scary,
Horrors are gross.
horrific or scary to other people.
Uh,
So
but
like,
then you also have, is it horrific or is it frightening or the same thing? Like
Or is it gross?
the shower scene in Psycho, is that
Is
horrific
That's
or is
scary.
that frightening? And then,
That's
but then is Psycho a horror movie? You
It's
know?
all-
Yes,
also
I would say
subjective.
Psycho is a horror movie.
So
Yes.
And
so
then,
like
so is that the
the birth
horrifying
scene,
imagery?
Eric brought up Welcome to Derry. The birth scene in Welcome to Derry, that entire thing to me was like
Campy.
ridiculous.
Campy.
Except for the mother. The mother
Right.
in that scene was fucking terrifying.
Right.
So everything else was like, whatever.
So let me try
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Let me try this
Uh,
for Alex. Would you say that Evil Dead 2 is a horror movie?
You're the two? No.
Not a horror movie, but it has like gross things in it. It has like zombies and danger and
But like Evil Dead 1 is a horror movie.
right.
Evil
Evil Dead
Dead
1,
2.
Evil Dead 1 legitimately tried to scare you.
Yeah. And
Evil Dead 2 never really tried to scare you. It was campy, right?
Right.
So that's like it's like a subgenre of horror where it's like campy, it's like over the top, or just like,
Almost fun.
yeah,
You
like
know?
it's making
Like
fun of
roller
itself.
coaster kind of thing.
Right.
Jubal, did
Like-
you watch Welcome to Derry episode 2 yet?
No. I'm
So-
not going to watch anymore unless you guys tell me I really need to.
The two scenes in that movie, I'll tell you right now, because they are so opposite of each other. There's the birth scene, which would be considered gory and scary and terrifying to some,
Mm-hmm.
is also the exact opposite of the supermarket scene, which is very bright. So the birth scene's very dark. The supermarket scene's very, very bright.
So what makes
Has
them
very-
horror?
Which one was that?
Those two scenes. I mean, what makes them horrifying?
For me, it's different than somebody else. So the supermarket scene to me is much more terrifying because the horror in it is much more subliminal. It's very bright. Everything's very subconscious. When you see things in the background, that's what you have to pay attention to. Versus the birth scene, which is very in your face and very gory and very scary. It kind of encompasses this argument because they are so different from each other.
Mm.
And they're in the same episode, which made that episode so awesome, in my opinion.
Mm.
So that's why I think you should continue watching it because that episode alone is worth it.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
like for
Fair
me,
enough.
I mean, like when I think of like Jaws has two of the most frightening images like I can think of, with just sort of like they're both really quick. One of them is just when the guy in the boat in the pond goes over and you just see like Jaws coming in. That's the first glimpse you see of the shark coming in underwater, going after the guy and his leg and grab him down. And then you see the severed leg go down. But just
Right.
seeing it like underneath the water, just the shape of the shark and the mouth coming after him. Yeah. And then towards the end, when it first comes out of the water, jumps onto the boat, is that image of like the still water and you don't see anything, and you just slowly see the gray shape just come out in the water, and then boom, the shark comes out.
Mhm.
Man, that's freaks the
Sharks
hell
are
out of me as a
scary.
kid, both
Yeah.
of those scenes.
Yeah.
Just those images, just those two.
Right. Yeah, in all those cases, it's imagery that is the connecting thing. It is imagery that is designed to invoke fear, not necessarily concern or like suspense or like, a good suspense movie, you're awaiting the resolution. You want to see what happens. You want to see how this situation resolves. But in a horror movie, it's almost like you don't want to see it. You don't want to see what
I
happens
wonder
next.
if there's something because there's a few things that are coming to mind. Like one of them is in a suspense movie, normally the protagonist is uh armed and capable.
Hmm.
They're a detective, they're a police officer, FBI agent, whatever, something like that, um they have a chance. So it's not so like they're suspenseful, like how's this going to end?
Mhm.
But and then there's something about in horror movies, almost everybody is defenseless. And
Right.
so that's where the fear comes in. Like when um if you are out in the ocean and a great white shark is wants to kill you, you're losing that fight 100 times out of 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
Take some of
Like,
these.
yeah, that's
Come and
scary,
get it, Bruce.
Shark can
that,
only bite. I can bite, kick, and punch.
right. If you are
Got
at
5 weapons.
if you are at fucking Crystal Lake and a 7 foot tall maniac with a hockey mask and a machete is coming after you, and you have a lighter and some joints because that's all you were going to do that weekend.
Right.
Um, that's scary, like you're dead,
Right.
so you could put, and then I think there is, so that's one aspect. And then there's the other aspect, which all of us have kind of mentioned, is, and I think it's the creepiness. It's the imagery of somebody doing something that people don't normally do,
Right.
whether that's a spider walk, whether that's the lady coming out like this to cut the
Right.
hair, whether that's the mother going, "Ah," like, you killed me, blah, blah, blah. Whether that's the guy standing in a fucking corner in a basement
Right.
at the end of a movie,
At the end of
that
Blair Witch.
that
Yeah.
that sticks with you because you're like, what the fuck is he doing right now?
Right.
Like, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
So I think there's different elements of it. There's the hopelessness element of a slasher, where you're like, I'm in a dream and against a fucking dream demigod with fucking knives on his hands. I'm fucked.
Right.
I'm in the ocean with a shark. I'm fucked. I'm at a lake with a
Right.
guy with a machete. I'm fucked. Or there's the spider
Right.
walking,
Creepy,
crazy creepy shit.
unnatural imagery. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
think
think that.
there's a third aspect too, because you have like the Scream villains who just are regular people who want to kill because, hey, we want to kill.
Mhm.
And on that same coattail, the Strangers movies, which aren't great by any means, but they have a great idea. It's like, why are you doing this? Well, because you're here and we felt like killing people.
Hmm.
That to me, that's scarier. The Scream villains are terrifying to me because they just want to kill people
Yeah.
for notoriety. The
So, but
Strangers villains want to
as far as
kill
Scream
because
is
they're
concerned, though,
bored.
Scream was tapping into something more primal. If you had known at the beginning of the movie Scream who was the killer, it wouldn't have been as scary, right? If
Yeah.
you had known that it was just a couple of high school kids being assholes. Um, but
Spoiler.
yeah, spoiler, sorry, spoiler on Scream. So, but like the opening scene when the woman is or the girl is talking on the phone, right? And then she's
Right.
like swinging from the tree and her guts are spilling out. It's almost like there's this supernatural predatory aspect to the killer in the way that the imagery unfolds, right? You're not like you don't see them putting the hood on and being like, oh, here's what we're
Well,
gonna
so
do. It
that's
wouldn't be
what
scary.
Strangers does that Scream doesn't. So Strangers is like, we're doing this because we can and you're here. So
Mm,
get fucked.
mm,
And so that the mentality behind that is scarier to me than anything supernatural at all. That's why, not to get way off tangent here, but that's why Halloween to me is still a baffling holiday. We open our doors to complete strangers in
right.
masks. We would never do that any other fucking day of the year. We call the cops.
And
But
we
on
give them
Halloween,
food.
it's like, come on in. Here's some free shit. It's like Halloween is the number one day for home invasion robberies, and it never happens, which doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not a criminal, but if I was, I would fucking do that.
That's funny. Um, Alex, what do you think? Are we on base? Are we off base?
No, I mean, I
Or
think we're all onto something. It's just sort of, I almost think that it's like, it's going to be different for every
Yeah.
person, almost, really.
Yeah,
You
because there's
know?
going to be people who watch Scream and don't actually necessarily think it's a horror movie.
right?
They're going
Right.
to be like, that's a suspense movie.
Maybe
It's
because they're
suspenseful.
not frightened. So
Yeah,
it's
they're going to be
it's
like,
only horror if it
and there's enough
frightens you.
comedy in it to where there's no Yeah, they're not frightened. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it
Hmm.
is it like I said, it's one of those things. It's like porn, when you see it,
Mhm.
But I do think that there are certain things. There's a couple of staples, and the staples are helplessness,
Mhm.
which in and of itself incites fear, right?
Sure.
And then that
Creepiness.
creepiness of
Right.
seeing somebody do something you've never seen them do. It's kind of like I said this on another cast, right? Why are kids creepy? Kids are creepy because you should be able to go and smack that kid in the head and go back to your house, get out of here, And the fact that that kid has the audacity to be at your front door, you're just like, nah, you know
Right.
something I don't know.
Hmm.
There's something weird going on. It is the fact that it's out of the norm. The
Right.
spider walk, the guy in the corner, the
Unnatural behavior. Right.
unnatural. We're so used to um how people move normally, that when we see somebody walking and they're like this, you're like, that whole scene was creepy.
It was
Like when she's
creepy.
coming out of the thing and then she's walking like that, you're just like, and because you don't know what's going to happen, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Oh
so
You
yeah,
might,
but
yeah. I
when
think you're
when the
probably onto
fucking
something.
when the back door opens and you hear her slide in, you're like, ah, fuck, dude, this is
Mm.
gonna be bad,
Right.
Mhm.
bad.
Right.
And then she just cuts her hair. Like,
mhm.
Weird.
what is that?
Weird. So yeah, okay. So fear, weird, creepy, unnatural. We're
Yeah,
working on it.
yeah. Boy, that's a shocker, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's a horror
I
movie?
mean,
Oh,
so
fear.
so so
I
to be
You're
totally upfront,
scared.
the scariest thing I've ever read in my entire life that still gives me nightmares to this day was a true story, and I don't know if any of you have ever read it, but it's the Nutty Putty Cave story.
Nutty Putty Cave story.
Nutty Putty
Like a
Cave story.
spelunker gets stuck or something.
Is this some kind of Bueller joke?
Nope, it's fucking real. They sealed off the cave. The Nutty Putty Cave story is just some guy who went spelunking with his brother, and he went down the wrong cavern
Yeah.
and got stuck, like head down,
Oh
like
yeah,
like
okay. I just want to
27
Okay.
fucking nutty
hours,
I
putty.
think I remember that. Yeah,
and
yeah,
That
he
yeah.
just
sucks.
they had to fucking seal him in there.
Right.
And we're just like, sorry, dude, can't save you. Good luck dying.
Ugh.
I And for 27 hours, they brought his wife and kids in there to say goodbye to him while he's upside down. Like, that's
That's
terrifying
weird.
to me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Bring
Well, I mean,
bring bring
spelunking in general
Jason,
is
Michael
terrifying.
Myers, Freddy, and
Yeah.
everybody else to my house right now.
I'd rather
Have their
fist
way
fight
Yeah.
a
as opposed
vampire
to
or
that.
a shark than go spelunking. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
throw that
Yeah.
out there right
I
now.
would
Yeah,
fucking
I've
I would
never
fight
understood.
Jaws over
I
that.
never understood the appeal to
Mm,
spelunking too. I mean,
no.
it's
Yeah,
like
so
it's one thing if at the end of your journey you come to this amazing room with like all this,
Full of
plant.
treasure.
I'm
Oh,
telling you right
Yes,
now,
plant
if they did
can't
a
see
Nutty
anywhere
Putty.
else in the world. But it's
Right.
just like you go spelunking for all the shit and there's more keys for you to
Right.
see. And it's
Right.
Yeah,
like, okay, so what's the point of this?
but if
You
they
know?
did a Nutty Putty cave story and made it like fucking Dead by Daylight or whatever, like
Right.
fucking here you go, here's your horror movie, and that was it. It was just some guy fucking crawling in a cave for 93 minutes and then he fucking dies. I'm terrified.
Hmm.
Versus Chucky. I don't fucking care about Chucky, dude. I don't care. I don't
So
care.
Yeah,
different
like
things are going to invoke fright in different people. That's
Yeah.
basically what you're
I've
saying.
ever talked to a couple of people that said they liked the movie The Descent, but they were like, "Man, I'm so glad that like monsters showed up because like everything until that point was terrifying. You know, when
Right.
just crawling
Right.
through the cave, and then
Yeah.
the monsters showed up. I was like, oh, that's a relief."
Phew.
no, that's how I was, dude. That's how I was with Welcome to Derry when she started like pulling her in to her fucking
In the womb.
Pennywise vagina or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank you, because that other shit was creepy as fuck, and I wanted that to end. This is just silly. Like I
Yeah.
can get on board with
Dude, when
this.
she was stuck under the sheet and clawing her way
Yeah,
out, I'm like,
Hmm.
Eric hates this.
I
Eric.
Strange.
hated that. Yeah,
Strange.
no,
All right. Well, I think we've solved some mysteries today.
yeah,
Frankenstein, if you haven't seen it, I think everybody should see that. Weapons, if you're in the mood for a horror movie that's more
weapons.
than a horror movie, go check out Weapons.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.